All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to talk about Terence Crawford and what he had to say about Errol, Spence, and Jermell Charlo. Also, in absolutely hilarious encounter with him and Devin Haney. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we're going to talk about the welterweight division. Terence Crawford gets into a scramble with Devin Haney. Absolutely hilarious. And also, Terence Crawford is talking real slick about Errol Spence Jr. again. And I think, overlooking, and people are telling me that they believe the same thing, overlooking the fight with Errol Spence Jr. and it may get him in trouble. Sound a little excessively confident. And so let's talk about that. Before I get into the video, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are a longtime subscriber, thank you for your support. If you're new to the channel, thank you for your support. Also, make sure you hit that bell icon and hit so that you can be notified of when we release more videos. Oh, and hit the subscribe button. Sorry, skip past that so that you know when we release videos. And thank you guys for coming again. All right, so Terence Crawford and Devin Haney, let's hit this on this first. I'm not sure what gym it is. I saw the video on Boxing Ego's channel in the middle of an interview that he was doing with another fighter that basically a scrap breaks out between Devin Haney. Terence Crawford is wrestling with somebody and slamming him, basically picking him up, swinging him around and slamming him on, slammed him on the ring mat out just underneath the ropes, right? And then Devin Haney runs up and tries to grab him from behind. Dog, it was absolutely hilarious to me, man, because I was thinking to myself, well, first of all, they're obviously horse playing, but Devin Haney tried to grab him and then immediately got put in arm lock and moved around and pretty much just Terence, big mistake on Devin Haney's part, man, if he was actually going to be trying to do something to it. But it was all good fun, horseplay or whatever. But it definitely showed something that people talk about with Terence Crawford. And that is that how strong he is. That is something that people that I've said many times, I think people underestimate about Terence Crawford as far as like his grappling and his upper body physical strength. He is somebody that is very, very strong, right? He showed that, I do believe, against Sean Porter when Sean Porter was trying to grab him and hold him. He's very good at grappling. I think he has, matter of fact, I know he has a wrestling background. His kids have a wrestling background. So very, very good with holds and bars and all that stuff. And he pretty much slung Devin Haney, who stuck his head in there at a really funny position and just pretty much just got manhandled. Now that has people talking about how strong Bud is and how that relates to the Errol Spence Jr. fight. Before I get into what the things that Bud actually said about Errol and Jermell, that I was like, man, you need to kind of maybe keep your focus a little bit, is this. Errol Spence Jr. is not a 135 pounder like 135 pounder like Devin Haney. So for the people coming to the comment section and all that, talking about how Terence Crawford is going to sling Errol Spence Jr. out in the ring because that's what he did in grabbing Devin Haney. Nah, man, I'm not buying that. First and foremost, I'm not buying it because of this. If Terence Crawford is actually grabbing and holding Errol Spence Jr., he is going to have Errol Spence Jr. in his chest when he's doing that, and that is a bad position for him to be because Errol Spence Jr. is also somebody that is very, very, very strong. And he is also somebody that is good with his hands, good with grappling on the inside, getting his hand away, moving you, pushing you. And so just the simple fact that he's in that area, I don't know if Terence Crawford has to try to take advantage of that, then in any consistent way, then that means Errol Spence Jr. is right where he needs to be and right where he wants to be in that fight. Now, as far as what Terence Crawford said, it's been reported that he said, look, man, when I get done with Errol Spence Jr., I'm going to beat Errol Spence Jr., then I'm moving up, and then I'm beating his boy Jermell Charlo. Now, I know that he said that before, so there's a possibility that this is just, other media outlets catching up to what it is and starting to report it, or whether it's, a new fresh interview from him. Not sure what that is. However, I will tell you this, that is not a wrestling. I don't think that is where his mind should be. I think his mind should be 100% on fighting Errol Spence Jr. and figuring out what he has to do to beat Errol Spence Jr. and not leaving it up to figuring it out while he's in the ring. And that's kind of one of the things about his camp that is just kind of throwing me off, because it doesn't seem as if they are really taking Errol Spence Jr. very seriously. It seems as if they think that this is going to be another walk in the park type of fight for them, that Bud is going to be able to get in the ring, and because of his superior skills, athleticism, or whatever, he's just going to figure out the fight as it goes and be able to find some holes in Errol Spence Jr. and beat it. But the problem with that is that's what everybody has said when they got in there with him. It's not some scenario where people were confused about what they think Errol Spence Jr.'s weaknesses are and how they're going to be able to take advantage of it. Everybody talked about him being a come forward fighter and, and being very basic and all of that stuff. And when you get in the ring with him, it turns out to be anything but a basic circumstance. And I just, for the sake of having they may just be talking that, and then they really are going to try to game plan and throw some new wrinkles at him. But I just think if they're going to do that in the manner that Tim Bradley talks about it and they talk about it, that it's just going to be a tough situation to try to figure that out as you go, when you have that level of a pressure fighter coming at you, where you don't have a lot of time to think, and you don't have a lot of time to make adjustments, right? You just don't have the time, because he's coming at you that quickly, and the rounds are going by, round after round are going by. So him saying that his eyes on Jermell Charlo, man, to me just seems like, man, you really may not be that focused. You may be a little bit overconfident going into this fight. Now, Errol Spence Jr. definitely saying the same thing, definitely talking about beating him and that talk. However, when I listen to Derrick James seems to me to have an idea that, look, man, we know what we have to combat. We got to combat his athleticism, and we're going to combat his athleticism with fundamentals. And he's like, man, I don't know. And he said in one breath, he says that he hasn't really studied him. He said, when the fight gets made, that's when I'm going to study him. That's when I'm really going to break him down. And that's fair enough. But in talking about it, you can already hear that he has a sense of what it's going to be. And he said, I don't think that Terence Crawford is going to be able to deal with the volume that you have from Errol Spence Jr. So it seems like they are more set and have an earlier game plan than Terence Crawford and those guys do. That sounds like, man, it just really does sound to me, and it sounds to other people like he's taking him for granted. But as far as the Devin Haney goes, and Terence Crawford tossing around Devin Haney and all that stuff, man, I wouldn't put too much into that stuff, man, because, first of all, Devin Haney is not as big as Errol Spence Jr. He's not as strong as Errol Spence Jr. He's not a grown man. Like, he is a grown man. He's 23, 24 years old. Bud is 35-year-old wrestler, but look, a guy that has a wrestling background, and these guys aren't going to be out there wrestling. But anyway, it is what it is. That's my take on the circumstance. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.